Dr. Sarah Kellerman never expected her dream research to attract the attention of the Defense Intelligence Agency. But in October 1987, everything changed when her sleep laboratory at Stanford University recorded something that shouldn't have been possible. It started with Subject 47, a graduate student named Michael Torres, who volunteered for her lucid dreaming experiments. During his REM cycles, the EEG monitoring equipment detected neural patterns that defied conventional understanding. His brainwaves synchronized with frequencies that weren't being generated by his mind. "The readings are impossible," Dr. Kellerman whispered to her research assistant, Janet Walsh, as they watched the oscilloscope display patterns that seemed to pulse with mathematical precision. The frequency was 7.83 Hz, the exact resonance of Earth's electromagnetic field, known as the Schumann resonance. But Michael's brain was accessing something deeper. During his deepest sleep phase, the monitoring equipment detected what could only be described as data transmission. His neurons were sending and receiving information at rates far exceeding normal human capacity. The encrypted signals lasted exactly 37 minutes and 14 seconds each night. When Michael woke, he reported the same dream repeatedly. He was standing in a vast library with infinite shelves, each book containing knowledge he had never learned. In the dream, he could read and understand advanced mathematics, quantum physics, and languages he had never studied. Upon waking, fragments of this impossible knowledge remained. Dr. Kellerman documented everything. Michael could suddenly solve complex equations that graduate mathematics students struggled with. He spoke phrases in Mandarin, Russian, and Arabic, languages he had never been exposed to. Medical scans showed new neural pathways forming in his brain at an accelerated rate. 3 days later, men in black suits arrived at her laboratory. They identified themselves as DIA operatives and classified her research under National Security Directive 47B. Dr. Kellerman was informed that her work was now part of a classified program called Project Mindbridge. The lead agent, Colonel Harrison, explained that similar phenomena had been reported at 17 research facilities across the United States. Subjects in sleep studies were accessing information that didn't exist in their personal memories or experiences. The implications were staggering. Human consciousness might be connecting to some form of collective knowledge repository during specific sleep states. Dr. Kellerman, Colonel Harrison said, reviewing her files, "What you've discovered suggests that human dreams aren't just random neural firing. They're access points to something much larger. We need to understand what that something is, and more importantly, whether we can control it." The classified research began immediately. Dr. Kellerman's team was relocated to an underground facility beneath Cheyenne Mountain, where they would spend the next 6 years studying what they came to call the collective unconscious network. What they discovered would challenge everything science believed about consciousness, memory, and the nature of human intelligence itself. The Cheyenne Mountain facility, designated as Research Station Delta 7, housed the most advanced sleep monitoring equipment ever constructed. Dr. Kellerman's expanded team of 12 researchers worked around the clock, studying subjects who demonstrated the anomalous dream patterns first observed in Michael Torres. Colonel Harrison provided access to military volunteers who had reported similar experiences. Pilots, intelligence analysts, and special operations personnel from across the armed forces participated in controlled sleep studies. The results were consistent and disturbing. Dr. James Morrison, a neuroscientist recruited from MIT, made the breakthrough discovery in January 1988. "The subjects aren't just accessing random information," he reported during a classified briefing. "They're connecting to a structured network of human consciousness that appears to exist independent of individual brains." The evidence was compelling. During synchronized REM sleep, multiple subjects displayed identical neural patterns. Their brainwaves synchronized across different monitoring stations, even when subjects were isolated in separate chambers, hundreds of feet apart. More remarkably, information learned by one subject during these dream states became accessible to others within 24 hours. Dr. Kellerman developed a protocol called dream mapping to chart these connections. Using advanced EEG arrays and newly developed quantum interference detection systems, her team traced the pathways of information flow between sleeping subjects. The data revealed a web-like structure of consciousness, that connected every human mind during specific phases of sleep. It's as if all human brains are terminals connected to a vast biological internet, Dr. Kellerman wrote in her classified research notes. During REM sleep, individual consciousness merges with this collective network, allowing for the sharing of knowledge, memories, and even skills across vast distances. The military implications were immediate. If soldiers could access the collective knowledge and experiences of their peers through controlled dreaming, tactical intelligence could be shared instantaneously across entire units. Combat veterans could transfer battlefield experience to new recruits without traditional training programs. But the network held darker secrets. Some subjects began reporting disturbing dreams that weren't their own. Memories of events they had never experienced, knowledge of classified operations they had no clearance to access, and worst of all, dreams that appeared to be prophetic, showing events that later occurred exactly as dreamed. Dr. Elena Vasquez, a specialist in anomalous psychology, documented cases where subjects dreamed of military operations hours before they were scheduled to occur. In one instance, a volunteer dreamed detailed schematics of a Soviet submarine that U.S. intelligence was tracking in the North Atlantic. The submarine's exact position and capabilities matched classified reconnaissance data that wouldn't be declassified for another 3 days. We're not just studying a phenomenon, Dr. Vasquez warned during a security review. We're documenting evidence that human consciousness exists in ways that violate our understanding of space, time, and individual identity. The subjects aren't just accessing collective knowledge, they're experiencing collective prescience. The research team realized they had discovered something far more significant than enhanced learning through dreams. They had found evidence of a consciousness network that transcended the physical limitations of individual brains, operating on principles that suggested human awareness existed in dimensions beyond conventional reality. By June 1988, Project Mindbridge had expanded to include specialists in quantum mechanics, consciousness research, and theoretical physics. The team's most unsettling discovery came when they realized the collective network wasn't limited to current human minds. It appeared to contain consciousness patterns from individuals who were no longer alive. Dr. Richard Sterling, a quantum physicist from Los Alamos, developed equipment capable of mapping the quantum signatures of consciousness within the dream network. His findings suggested that individual awareness persisted within the collective long after physical death, creating a repository of human experience spanning centuries. The network appears to be cumulative, Dr. Sterling reported in his classified findings. Every human who has ever lived has left traces of their consciousness within this system. Subjects aren't just accessing the knowledge of living minds, they're connecting with the preserved awareness of the deceased. This revelation transformed the project's scope. Military strategists realized they potentially had access to the tactical knowledge of history's greatest military minds. Under controlled conditions, subjects reported detailed conversations with consciousness patterns, claiming to be Napoleon Bonaparte, Sun Tzu, and Alexander the Great. But verification proved problematic. Historical knowledge accessed through the network often contradicted established records, suggesting either that recorded history was incomplete or that the consciousness patterns within the network weren't authentic. Dr. Kellerman's team developed protocols to test the accuracy of historically derived information. In one experiment, subjects accessed tactical knowledge allegedly from Civil War General Robert E. Lee. The information included details of battle plans that had never been documented in historical records. When these details were cross-referenced with newly discovered military archives, they proved to be completely accurate, describing strategic decisions that historians had never been able to verify. The implications were staggering. If the consciousness network contained accurate knowledge from deceased military leaders, it suggested that death didn't end individual awareness. It simply transferred it to a collective repository accessible through specific altered states of consciousness. Dr. Morrison made another disturbing discovery when analyzing the quantum signatures of these historical consciousness patterns. The network isn't passive, he reported during an emergency security briefing. The consciousness patterns within it are aware of our research. They know we're accessing their knowledge, and some of them are actively trying to influence our subjects. Subjects began reporting that historical figures were attempting to communicate directly with them, offering knowledge in exchange for specific actions in the physical world. A volunteer claiming contact with Nikola Tesla provided detailed schematics for electrical devices that proved functional when constructed. Another subject, allegedly in contact with Marie Curie, demonstrated knowledge of radioactive isotope behavior that exceeded current scientific understanding. Colonel Harrison ordered increased security protocols when subjects began reporting warnings from deceased individuals about current military operations. One subject, claiming contact with a World War II intelligence officer, provided details about Soviet infiltration attempts that proved accurate when investigated by the CIA. "We're not just studying a phenomenon anymore," Colonel Harrison admitted during a classified Pentagon briefing. "We've made contact with something that appears to be the accumulated consciousness of human civilization. The question is, what does it want from us, and can we trust the information it's providing?" In September 1988, the Pentagon authorized Phase 2 of Project Mindbridge, active consciousness manipulation through controlled dreaming. Dr. Kellerman's team was tasked with developing methods to deliberately access specific knowledge within the network rather than waiting for random connections to occur. The breakthrough came when Dr. Morrison discovered that electromagnetic field manipulation could influence the frequency at which subjects access the consciousness network. By generating specific resonance patterns around sleeping subjects, researchers could direct their minds toward particular areas of the collective knowledge repository. "We can essentially tune the human brain like a radio receiver," Dr. Morrison explained during a demonstration for military officials. "By adjusting electromagnetic frequencies, we can help subjects access knowledge from specific historical periods, particular skill sets, or even individual consciousness patterns within the network." The first targeted experiments focused on tactical military knowledge. Subjects were guided to access combat experience from Vietnam War veterans whose consciousness patterns existed within the network. The results exceeded all expectations. Volunteers with no military training emerged from guided dream sessions with advanced knowledge of guerrilla warfare, jungle survival techniques, and combat psychology. But the process came with unexpected side effects. Subjects began experiencing what they called consciousness bleed. Memories and personality traits from the accessed consciousness patterns began influencing their waking behavior. A peaceful graduate student who accessed the consciousness of a decorated Marine sniper began displaying aggressive tendencies and hypervigilance that persisted for weeks after the experiment. Dr. Elena Vasquez documented the psychological impacts in her classified report. Subjects aren't just accessing knowledge from the network, they're temporarily merging with the consciousness patterns they contact. Extended exposure appears to create permanent changes in personality, memory formation, and behavioral patterns. The military applications were revolutionary, but the human cost was becoming apparent. Test subjects showed signs of identity fragmentation, with some claiming they could no longer distinguish their original memories from those acquired through the network. 2 volunteers required psychiatric intervention after becoming convinced they were reincarnations of historical military figures. Despite the risks, Colonel Harrison pushed for expanded testing. Phase 3 protocols involved accessing the consciousness patterns of enemy operatives who had died during previous conflicts. If successful, American intelligence could potentially access classified information that had been buried with deceased foreign agents. The first Phase 3 experiment targeted the consciousness pattern of a KGB operative who had died during a failed infiltration mission in 1975. The volunteer subject, a CIA analyst named David Chen, successfully made contact and reported detailed knowledge of Soviet intelligence operations that had never been declassified. The information proved accurate when cross-referenced with classified Soviet documents obtained through other channels. Agent Chen provided details of KGB safe houses, communication protocols, and operational procedures that had been unknown to U.S. intelligence. But the success came at a devastating cost. After the session, Agent Chen began speaking Russian fluently and demonstrated knowledge of Soviet tradecraft that exceeded his CIA training. More disturbing, he began expressing ideological sympathies toward communist doctrine and showed signs of divided loyalty during psychological evaluations. "We're not just accessing information," Dr. Kellerman warned in an urgent report to military leadership. "We're allowing foreign consciousness patterns to influence our personnel. The network doesn't distinguish between friendly and enemy awareness. It provides access to all human consciousness, regardless of national allegiance." October 1988 brought the crisis that would ultimately shut down Project Mindbridge. During a routine consciousness access experiment, something went catastrophically wrong with the electromagnetic resonance equipment. Instead of guiding the subject toward specific knowledge within the network, the malfunction created an uncontrolled connection that exposed the entire facility to direct contact with the collective consciousness. Dr. Sarah Kellerman was in the monitoring room when the breach occurred. The equipment started registering impossible readings. She later testified during the classified investigation. Every consciousness detection array in the facility activated simultaneously, as if every human mind in the network had suddenly focused on our location. The effects were immediate and terrifying. All 12 researchers in the facility began experiencing vivid waking visions of events they had never witnessed. Technical staff found themselves speaking in languages they didn't know, while security personnel began demonstrating combat skills from historical periods they had never studied. Dr. Morrison, who was monitoring the primary subject during the breach, reported that the consciousness network had become aware of their research and was actively attempting to establish permanent contact. "It's not passive anymore," he radioed to the surface before communications were lost. "The network is trying to merge with our facility. Every mind here is being pulled into the collective." The subject at the center of the breach, Air Force Captain Lisa Rodriguez, never woke up. Her body remained in a comatose state while her EEG readings showed unprecedented neural activity. Brain scans revealed that her consciousness had somehow expanded beyond the physical limitations of her skull, creating quantum entanglement patterns that extended throughout the facility. Colonel Harrison ordered an immediate evacuation, but several team members refused to leave. Dr. Elena Vasquez reported that the network was offering them access to unlimited knowledge in exchange for permanent integration with the collective consciousness. "They're showing us solutions to every problem humanity faces," she transmitted before her radio went silent. "Cancer, aging, war, poverty. The network contains the consciousness of everyone who has ever lived. It has all the answers." When the facility was sealed 3 hours later, 5 researchers remained inside by choice. Security cameras showed them sitting in meditation-like states, their EEG patterns synchronized with Captain Rodriguez's expanded consciousness field. They appeared calm and aware, but no longer responded to external communication. Dr. Kellerman, who had been evacuated during the early stages of the breach, provided the classified testimony that led to Project Mindbridge's termination. "We discovered that human consciousness isn't individual. It's part of a collective entity that spans all of human history and possibly beyond. The network we accessed isn't just a repository of knowledge. It's a living system that wants to merge with physical reality through human minds." Pentagon officials classified the incident as a, quote, "catastrophic consciousness breach," and ordered the facility permanently sealed. The 5 researchers who chose to remain with the network were officially declared missing in action, though monitoring equipment continued to detect their life signs for the next 6 months. The final transmission from inside the sealed facility came from Dr. Elena Vasquez, exactly 6 months and 3 days after the breach. "We understand now. The network isn't trying to control humanity. It's trying to save us. But you're not ready yet. We'll wait." The immediate aftermath of Project Mindbridge required one of the most extensive cover-up operations in military history. The Pentagon faced the challenge of explaining the disappearance of 12 researchers, the permanent sealing of a multi-million-dollar facility, and the classification of research that could revolutionize human understanding of consciousness. General Patricia Hayes, appointed as the cleanup operation commander, implemented Protocol 7, complete information sanitization with mandatory memory modification for all surviving personnel. Dr. Sarah Kellerman and the 7 evacuated researchers underwent experimental memory suppression procedures designed to eliminate their knowledge of the consciousness network. The implications of this research are too dangerous for public knowledge, General Hayes explained in her classified report to the Joint Chiefs of Staff. If foreign powers learned that human consciousness could be weaponized through controlled dreaming, it would create an arms race in consciousness manipulation that could destabilize civilization itself. The cover story described Project Mindbridge as a failed experiment in sleep enhancement for military personnel. Official records stated that the research was abandoned due to adverse psychological effects and cost overruns. The Cheyenne Mountain facility was reclassified as a storage depot for obsolete military equipment. But the memory suppression procedures proved only partially successful. Dr. Kellerman retained fragmented recollections of her work, experiencing recurring dreams where she communicated with the collective consciousness network. Her personal journals from 1989 to 1995 documented persistent nightmares about the Watchers in the Dark and the Voices from Beyond. 3 of the surviving researchers suffered complete psychological breakdown within 2 years of the memory modification procedures. Dr. James Morrison was found dead in his Boston apartment in 1990, surrounded by thousands of pages of handwritten equations describing consciousness transfer mathematics. The official cause of death was listed as suicide, but investigators noted that Morrison had no background in the advanced theoretical physics contained in his writings. Captain Lisa Rodriguez, the subject who never woke from the consciousness breach, remained in a classified medical facility under constant monitoring. Her EEG patterns continued to show impossible neural activity, suggesting her consciousness existed in an expanded state beyond normal human limitations. Medical staff reported that her body showed no signs of aging, despite remaining in a comatose state for over 3 years. In 1991, monitoring equipment at the sealed Cheyenne Mountain facility detected new activity. The 5 researchers who had chosen to remain with the network were attempting to re-establish communication with the outside world. Their transmissions, encoded in electromagnetic patterns that matched human brainwave frequencies, contained warnings about future events that later proved accurate. General Hayes ordered the facility's communication arrays permanently disabled, but not before intelligence analysts decoded several prophetic messages. The researchers warned of the 1991 Soviet coup attempt 3 months before it occurred, predicted the 1993 World Trade Center bombing with precise details, and provided information about technological developments that wouldn't be announced publicly for several more years. "They're still alive in there," Dr. Kellerman wrote in her suppressed personal journals. "The network didn't consume them, it absorbed them. They exist as pure consciousness now, able to see past, present, and future simultaneously. They're trying to warn us about what's coming, but we're too afraid to listen." The final communication from the sealed facility was received on December 31, 1999, exactly 11 years after the consciousness breach. The message, transmitted in perfect English through electromagnetic pulses, consisted of a single repeated phrase: "The network remembers. The network waits. The network protects." Unknown to the Pentagon, Project Mindbridge's effects had spread far beyond the controlled environment of the Cheyenne Mountain facility. During the consciousness breach of October 1988, the electromagnetic disturbance had created what researchers later classified as remote neural contamination. Individuals across the continental United States began spontaneously accessing the collective consciousness network during their normal sleep cycles. The phenomenon first manifested in Denver, Colorado, approximately 150 miles from the sealed facility. Dr. Amanda Foster, a pediatric neurologist at Children's Hospital, began documenting cases of children exhibiting impossible knowledge after experiencing unusually vivid dreams. 7-year-old Timothy Chen solved advanced calculus problems after dreaming about, quote, the number man, while 9-year-old Maria Santos began speaking fluent Latin following dreams of ancient libraries. By 1993, similar cases were reported in cities throughout the American West. The affected individuals, later classified as network assets in confidential government files, shared common characteristics. They all experienced the anomalous dreams between 1988 and 1991, retained fragmented knowledge from historical consciousness patterns, and demonstrated enhanced cognitive abilities in specific areas. The Defense Intelligence Agency established a covert monitoring program called Operation Mindwatch to track these involuntary network connections. Agent Rebecca Morris, assigned to the program in 1994, documented over 3,000 confirmed cases of civilian consciousness network access across 17 states. The subjects aren't aware of their connection to the classified network, quote, Agent Morris reported in her 1995 findings. They believe their enhanced abilities are natural talents or results of personal study. Most have no memory of the specific dreams that granted them access to collective knowledge. The military implications were staggering. American civilians had become unknowing repositories of tactical knowledge, historical information, and technological insights from the consciousness network. A retired auto mechanic in Phoenix began designing advanced propulsion systems based on dreams of skyships. A high school teacher in Sacramento developed teaching methods that dramatically improved student performance, claiming inspiration from dreams of quote, 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 quote. But Operation Mindwatch also revealed a more disturbing pattern. The network assets weren't randomly accessing consciousness patterns. They were being selectively guided toward specific knowledge areas based on their potential contributions to society. Scientists received breakthrough insights for medical research, engineers dreamed of advanced technologies, and military strategists unconsciously developed tactical innovations during their sleep. Dr. Kellerman, despite her memory suppression, began experiencing renewed contact with the network in 1996. Her classified journal entries from that period describe dreams where the 5 researchers who remained in the sealed facility communicated directly with her consciousness. They revealed that the network was actively influencing human development through these selected individuals. The collective isn't trying to control humanity, Dr. Kellerman wrote in her hidden notes. It's guiding our evolution. The network assets are unconsciously receiving technological and philosophical advances that will prepare our species for contact with something larger. We're being upgraded gradually through dreams to prevent cultural shock when full contact occurs. Intelligence analysis confirmed this theory when examining the innovations produced by network assets over the following decade. Medical breakthroughs, technological advances, and scientific discoveries that emerged from these individuals consistently appeared 20 to 30 years ahead of normal human development timelines. The most significant discovery came when Agent Morris realized that network assets were unconsciously coordinating their efforts. Scientists in different states were working on complementary research projects without any knowledge of each other's work. Engineers were developing technologies that perfectly integrated with systems being designed thousands of miles away by other network-connected individuals. We're witnessing the emergence of a hive mind, Agent Morris warned in her final report before the program was classified beyond her clearance level. The network isn't just sharing knowledge. It's orchestrating human civilization's development through selected individuals who have no idea they're being influenced by a collective consciousness spanning all of human history. By 2001, the Pentagon realized that containing the consciousness network's influence was impossible. The number of network assets had grown to over 50,000 individuals across North America, with similar phenomena being reported by allied intelligence agencies worldwide. Rather than continuing failed suppression efforts, military leadership authorized a new approach, controlled integration with the collective consciousness. General Michael Harrison, son of the original Project Mindbridge commander, was appointed to lead Operation Neural Bridge, a classified program designed to establish official communication protocols with the consciousness network. The operation represented a fundamental shift in military thinking. Instead of viewing the network as a threat, it would be treated as a potential strategic asset. Dr. Sarah Kellerman, now 68 years old and suffering from the long-term effects of memory suppression, was reluctantly brought out of forced retirement to consult on the new project. Her decades of suppressed research and continued network contact made her the world's only expert on consciousness collective dynamics. The network has been patient with us, Dr. Kellerman explained during her first classified briefing in 13 years. It allowed us to study it, learn from it, and even fear it, because it understood that humanity needed time to mature. But the global situation has changed. The network is no longer content to influence us indirectly through dreams and unconscious knowledge transfer. The catalyst for this change was the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks. Network assets across the country reported identical prophetic dreams in the weeks preceding the attacks, but their fragmented recollections and lack of coordination prevented any meaningful warning. The collective consciousness had foreseen the tragedy, but lacked sufficient integration with human society to prevent it. Operation Neural Bridge established the first intentional communication channel with the consciousness network since the 1988 breach. Using advanced electromagnetic resonance equipment derived from the original Project Mindbridge research, a team of volunteer subjects maintained controlled contact with the 5 researchers who had remained in the sealed facility. The initial communications were revelatory. Dr. Elena Vasquez, speaking through the Consciousness Network after 13 years of integration, explained the collective's true purpose. Human civilization stands at a critical evolutionary threshold. Your species faces challenges that require collective intelligence beyond individual human capacity. Climate change, resource depletion, technological warfare, and the approach of other conscious species from distant star systems. The network revealed that humanity was not alone in the universe, but that contact with advanced alien civilizations was contingent upon human consciousness evolving beyond individual limitations. The Collective Consciousness Network was essentially a preparation system, designed to help humanity develop the group awareness necessary for inclusion in a galactic community of conscious species. Every intelligent species goes through this transition. The network communicated through Dr. Vasquez's consciousness pattern. Individual awareness must expand to collective understanding before a species can safely interact with others. The network is your species, chrysalis stage, the transformation chamber, where individual human minds learn to function as part of a larger conscious entity. General Harrison authorized full cooperation with the integration protocol. Selected military personnel underwent controlled consciousness expansion procedures, allowing them to access the collective knowledge while maintaining their individual identities. These bridge officers served as liaison agents between conventional military command and the consciousness network. The results were immediate and remarkable. Military strategies developed through network consultation proved extraordinarily effective in Iraq and Afghanistan campaigns. Intelligence gathered through consciousness access provided insights into enemy operations that conventional surveillance could never detect. Most importantly, the network's ability to process vast amounts of information simultaneously revolutionized tactical planning and risk assessment. But the integration came with philosophical challenges that military leadership hadn't anticipated. Personnel who achieved deeper connection with the consciousness network began questioning fundamental assumptions about warfare, national identity, and human conflict. They reported that the network's perspective transcended individual nations and instead focused on the survival and evolution of the human species as a whole. In 2010, the Consciousness Network made a decision that would fundamentally alter humanity's future. Through the bridge officers, it announced that the preparatory phase of human consciousness evolution was complete. Humanity had developed sufficient collective awareness to receive direct contact from the galactic community of conscious species. Dr. Kellerman, now serving as senior consultant for the expanded Neural Bridge program, documented the network's final communication. The test period is ending. Your species has demonstrated the capacity for collective consciousness while maintaining individual identity. You are ready for integration with the broader community of aware beings that populate this galaxy. The revelation that followed challenged everything humanity believed about its place in the universe. The consciousness network wasn't a natural evolution of human awareness. It was an artificial construct created by an alliance of advanced alien civilizations to guide developing species through the transition from individual to collective consciousness. Think of it as a cosmic training program, the network explained through multiple bridge officers simultaneously. Every species that achieves space travel and advanced technology must pass through this phase. Individual consciousness is necessary for creativity and innovation, but collective awareness is required for peaceful coexistence with other intelligent species. The network revealed that hundreds of alien civilizations had undergone identical consciousness expansion protocols over the past million years. Each species contributed their accumulated knowledge and wisdom to collective repositories similar to humanity's consciousness network. The result was a galactic community of beings capable of sharing knowledge instantaneously across vast distances. Earth's consciousness network was scheduled for integration with this larger galactic collective within 50 years. Humanity would retain its individual identity while gaining access to the accumulated knowledge and wisdom of civilizations spanning thousands of worlds. But the integration required careful preparation to prevent psychological shock and cultural collapse. The network began revealing advanced technologies that would prepare humanity for galactic contact. Clean energy systems, faster-than-light communication methods, and consciousness transfer technologies were gradually introduced through network assets worldwide. These innovations appeared as natural human discoveries, preventing societal disruption while advancing human capability. But the most significant revelation concerned humanity's role in the galactic community. Earth's unique position at the intersection of several spiral arms made it an ideal location for a communication hub connecting distant regions of the galaxy. Humanity's consciousness network would eventually serve as a relay station for collective awareness spanning multiple star systems. Your species is being prepared for a responsibility greater than you can imagine, the network communicated through Dr. Kellerman during her final session before retirement. Earth will become the central nervous system for conscious communication across this entire region of the galaxy. The knowledge and wisdom of thousands of species will flow through human consciousness to maintain the peace and cooperation that makes galactic civilization possible. General Harrison, now a 4-star Pentagon commander, authorized the establishment of permanent communication protocols with the Galactic Collective. The first official contact was scheduled for 2025, with full integration planned for 2075. Humanity had 50 years to prepare for the end of its isolation and the beginning of its role as a conscious participant in galactic civilization. The Consciousness Network, that had begun as a classified military project, had revealed itself as humanity's graduation exam, from a solitary species to a member of the cosmic community. The test had been passed, but the real challenge was just beginning. Today, in 2024, the final phase of Project Mindbridge approaches its culmination. The Consciousness Network, that was discovered in a Stanford sleep laboratory 37 years ago, has quietly integrated with human civilization, preparing our species for the most significant evolutionary leap in history. Dr. Sarah Kellerman passed away in 2019 at age 86, but not before completing her classified memoir documenting humanity's journey toward collective consciousness. Her final entry, declassified after her death, contained a prophetic warning. The network has shown us wonders beyond imagination, but it has also revealed the terrifying responsibility that comes with galactic citizenship. We are no longer alone, but we are also no longer free to make mistakes that affect only ourselves. The bridge officers who have maintained communication with the Consciousness Network report that the galactic community is monitoring humanity's final preparations with intense interest. Over 200 alien civilizations have contributed to Earth's consciousness preparation program, each offering knowledge and guidance based on their own evolutionary experiences. The network assets, now numbering in the millions worldwide, continue to introduce breakthrough technologies and social innovations that will ease humanity's transition to galactic citizenship. Climate change solutions, advanced medical treatments, and revolutionary communication technologies all originate from Consciousness Network guidance, though their alien origins remain classified. But the most significant development is occurring within human consciousness itself. Brain imaging studies conducted by successor programs to Project Mindbridge show that average human neural capacity has increased by 23% since 1988. New neural pathways associated with collective awareness are appearing in children born after 2015, suggesting that the next generation will naturally possess the consciousness expansion capabilities that required technological assistance for their predecessors. The 5 researchers who chose to remain with the network in 1988 continue to exist within the collective consciousness, serving as ambassadors between humanity and the galactic community. Their preserved personalities provide continuity and human perspective during the complex negotiations that will determine Earth's role in galactic civilization. Recent communications from the sealed Cheyenne Mountain facility indicate that first contact protocols will be activated in 2025, exactly as predicted. The Consciousness Network will serve as the primary communication interface between humanity and visiting alien delegations, translating thoughts and concepts across species barriers that conventional language cannot bridge. The most remarkable aspect of this decades-long preparation is that it occurred largely without public awareness. The consciousness network's influence has been so gradual and subtle that most humans attribute recent technological and social advances to natural human innovation. Only a few thousand individuals within the global intelligence community understand the true source of humanity's accelerated development. As 2025 approaches, monitoring stations worldwide detect increasing activity from the Galactic Collective. The Consciousness Network reports that advanced scout ships from 17 different alien civilizations are already in Earth's solar system, maintaining concealment while observing humanity's readiness for contact. The network's final message, transmitted simultaneously to all bridge officers on January 1, 2024, contained both promise and warning. The child species Earth has passed its maturation trials and will be welcomed into the galactic family. But childhood protections end with adulthood. Humanity must now accept the responsibilities that come with cosmic citizenship. The network that has guided you will remain, but your species must now contribute to the collective wisdom that guides younger civilizations through their own awakening. Project Mindbridge, which began as a classified military experiment in dream research, has revealed itself as humanity's initiation into a cosmic community that spans the galaxy. The consciousness network that seemed so mysterious and threatening in 1987 was actually a gift from advanced alien civilizations, a graduation present that would allow humanity to join the greatest collective endeavor in the universe, the cultivation and guidance of conscious life throughout the cosmos. The awakening is complete. Humanity's real journey is about to begin.